Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to have a chat about the Sandbox experiment in Phuket while we have a slow ride down Buakhao, because several of you have asked me for a little look around. They want to see what everything's like at the moment. So that's what we'll do. By the way, this hotel on the right just coming up, do you remember it? It used to be a real horrible crappy hotel and it's all been redone. It's really nice now, and it has shops at the bottom at the front there. Now most of you guys will know that Phuket's due to open on the 1st of July with no quarantine in the Sandbox experiment. The problem is that the Thai government keeps changing its mind. For example, they originally said that you had to stay in Phuket for 7 days. And be fully vaccinated, of course, and pay for 2 PCR tests at 3,000 baht each during the 7 days. Then they changed their mind to 14 days and 3 PCR tests. Now the very next day, a full 50% of all the bookings that they had for Phuket Sandbox were cancelled. It dropped to half. And even if you owned your own house in Phuket, you still had to stay in an SHA hotel. You see on the right, the market's quite busy. It's quite good at the moment. And just past the Tesco and the Kasikorn Bank is made in Thailand. Sorry, made in Thailand. That's completely dead now, completely cut off. Anyway, going back to what we were saying, and you're not allowed out of the province of Phuket, so that means you can't visit PP Island, you can't visit James Bond Island, because those two are both in different provinces, so you're not allowed to do that. And you also need to have besides a certificate of entry, you also need $100,000 of health insurance, which some people think is pretty excessive. Street Town. That's getting very popular. And also you need to download the Morchana tracking app on your phone. However, there was some chat on the internet, in the chat rooms and forums, by various people saying that, oh, we'll just leave the telephone in the room, in the hotel room, just forget it, and then we can sort of wander around. There's Soi Honey, that's quite busy, it's all open now, so they can leave the phone in the hotel and they don't have to bother with the tracking app. We'll just have a quick ride down LK Metro, and you can see what's happening where. That Catch Me is still being built. That's a new one, and there are a couple of restaurants further down on the right which are open, but that's about it. There's not much else open. That's a new one. I haven't seen that before. That Mint restaurant. So going back to what we were saying. So after all this chatting on the internet, there was a fairly high level government meeting which suggested that it might be a good idea if visitors were fitted with a GPS tracking wristband on arrival, which cannot be removed. These work in exactly the same way that the GPS ankle bracelets work with criminals who are out on bail or are on house arrest. That's the sort of thing that they're talking about fitting to tourists. Welcome to Thailand. What a good idea that is. That really makes you feel good, doesn't it? Oh, and it comes with a huge fine if you cut it off or if you leave the boundaries of Phuket Island at all. Big fine. That's Cheap Charlie's on the left there. Probably the best place to have flying food now that Chunky Monkey's closed. So we'll just go down here. If we turn, we'll just turn right and I'll take you around Soi Boomerang, or the new Soi Gents Club, whatever you want to call it. I'll just take you around there for a little show. Just they were doing live streaming here in some of the bars upstairs, and they've been basically they've been told to stop it. The boys in brown have had a word with them. Can't do it anymore, so pretty much most of them have stopped it now, which is I don't know, is it good news or bad news? It all depends on the way you look at it, doesn't it, really? Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Another thing which was being chatted about quite a lot on the internet was the discussion about expats and their wives, their Thai wives, using the Phuket Sandbox as a way to return to their homes in all the different parts of Thailand. So after 14 days in Phuket, they can just enter Thailand, main Thailand, and then go home, which would have been obviously a very convenient way to do it instead of going through the ASQ hotel system. Anyway, the other day the government made an announcement that Thai nationals will not be able to do this, and they must leave Phuket via the airport, the international airport, on an international flight out of Thailand, and then they must re-enter Thailand using the state quarantine hotel system, and they must do the mandatory 15 days quarantine. Now I'm guessing, only guessing, that the owners of the SQ hotels kicked up a fuss about losing all that government funded business, but I could be wrong on that, of course. So with all these constant changes and the flip-flopping from the Thai government, I don't think it would be wise to book anything at the moment. I think you should really wait till things are finalised before you book anything. That's my opinion. The other day the Prime Minister announced that Thailand will be opening fully with no quarantine at all in 120 days. That's about 4 months, which would take us to the middle of October. It looks like maybe they're aiming for the 1st of November, which is the normal high season, isn't it? 1st of November. So guys, tell me what you think about this sandbox idea, if it's going to be a disaster like the STV was, or it's going to be good. And please subscribe and like and share if you like the videos. Thank you very much for watching.